Hello, I'm Bill. Welcome back to my show. Hope you've been enjoying it so far. Got something a little different for you. So I have a coworker that lives in Romania, and he's been giving me some tips on how to, make better videos. Real nice guy. And he said, well, why don't you do something different? Why don't you do you know anything about Romanian food? I was like, no. But I'll give it a try. So I searched the internet, and one of the things that stuck out was they have this potato moussaka. Well, I'm used to kind of like that Turkey Egyptian version with the eggplant. This just has potato. And I thought this is something actually really simple and should be pretty darn good. But mostly I just wanted to make it because he thought it was a good idea. He really wanted me to do some, some of the sweets they do, desserts are really fantastic, but I thought that would just be a little over the top, so I just wanted to start out with something simple. Plus, I'm an amateur at this Romanian cooking. So what I do is I got like 9 medium potatoes. I just parboiled them in my big pot over here. Just took it off the stove. I'm going to put it in my colander. And I want to get them cool so I can, their skin's on, I'm going to just parboil them for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to peel them and slice them to put in. But let me get them drained before they overcook. Big old pot of water. I use the lid so that I don't get a whole lot of splashback, and the steam is really hot. Now I can take the lid off. The glasses are all steamed up. Let's just get these potatoes in here. And get that on my hand. And we're just going to spray a little water on here. Let them cool down. We want to slow this process down to cooking. So I'm just trying to get them some nice cool water. And let's let them finish. Nice and fork tender. Alright, looks good to me. Just want to give them enough time to cool down. Alright, so this is something that kind of old school. My grandmother used to do this a lot, is you have a baking dish and you want to keep stuff from sticking. So you put a little butter, just a little bit of butter in there, and my grandmother used to take wax paper so she didn't get butter all over her hands. And if you've ever done any baking, this is kind of pretty common. I think of baking as being like dessert kind of stuff. But if you're doing like cakes and stuff, so you really want to get it good. And they wanted like an 8x8 pan, and of course I don't have an 8x8 pan, but this actually comes out the same because 8x8 is 32-inch circumference, and this pan is actually 32-inch circumference. And I like this pan because it's deep. So you want to get some layers to it, just like you're making lasagna. Okay. And we've got all the nooks and crannies. Now we've got all the nooks and crannies. I'm pretty happy. Set this in the sink. So, yeah, it's good. So you just take a little flour. Used to use baker's joy too, that's the other thing. It's not as good. And you're just going to knock the flour around until we get all the sides. And then all you do is, it shows you any mistakes. There's a hole right in the middle where obviously I didn't get any butter. Then all I'm going to do is, can't do this one yet, dump excess in the sink. Okay, so I got my pan all ready. That finish. So what we got next is we need to make this meat mixture. And you can use pork, you can use just ground beef. I have a sneaking suspicion that in a lot of countries, when they think of ground beef, it's probably a higher quality, less fat, real lean meat. Real lean is really good when you're cooking a lot of dishes, but you have to remember it's not the best hamburger in the world. If you want a good hamburger, you want the fat, which is going to cook out and keep it moist. So I went to my favorite butcher at Bossy's Meat Market, and I got myself 1.5 pounds, and this is actually ground sirloin. And this should have just enough fat content that we're going to be okay. If not, don't stress, you can always put a little olive oil in here. I just want to get this kind of cooked down. It certainly is lean. I guess he took my word for it when I said I wanted it lean. I'm using a stick-free pan, but like I said, if need be, we can always just toss a little olive oil on the bottom here. It's starting to cook out now, so it should be okay. Just keep it moving until you're confident you get enough fat cooked out or enough juice cooked out. So once again, this is why you need to have a butcher that you know and like, because it's really important when you're trying to put an idea together and you want something absolutely right. You don't want something that's just going to try and, say the most expensive thing, but you want it to taste right and have the right consistency. Ground beef is actually done differently in different places, and it used to be done differently in this country, in fact. People wanted ground beef, they wanted it, you wanted it kind of mushy. In fact, my grandmother used to get what's called twice ground. So they would actually put it through the grinder twice. And I've watched videos from famous people, and they do like really like fancy, cool hamburgers. I don't know why a hamburger has to be fancy, but they actually pulse the meat that they've cubed in a Cuisinart, so it has a lot more texture to it, so it's not even ground. I've always wanted to try that, and I'm like, can I check that? Because Cuisinart would pulverize it really quickly if you didn't get it just right. Okay, anyways, so we're not sticking, everything's looking good. I'm pretty happy now, everything's cooking. So while this meat's cooking, we have just enough juice on the bottom. I'm not worried anymore. Got myself, this was a medium onion. I'm going to put in here to start cooking. I'm going to grind some pepper. I'd actually left this out of sight. You can see it at first. Pepper. It's starting to happen now. And don't be confused. There's fluid and fat in any meat, and lots of times we're just getting the cooking the fluid out, and that's not bad because that's going to reduce. If you see that it's really fatty, you could cook the meat kind of before you put the onion in, and scoop off some of that grease. But in reality, you want enough juice for flavor, and one of the reasons I don't like salting foods is because it's going to draw that juice out, can dry the meat a little bit. So back to this meat market stuff, just remember that a real meat market makes the ground meat out of the scraps, and it's not day-old scraps. You don't get any of those ideas. When they're cutting like steaks and stuff, you're going to have scraps, and most of your chain stores are going to have meat that they add in, which is pre-packaged, comes in tubes, and it might possibly be colored so that the meat always looks nice and red, even if it's been sitting a little bit. And they take the fat and mix it in the grinder with it, and it's, you know, I'd rather know that the ground beef was actually all ground on premise with meat that was cut that day. Yet it can be really tricky in how you word that. You know, the big chains will say, "Oh yeah, fresh ground today." Yeah, but what was it ground with? So, plus, you know, when you're really trying to put something together and you want something specific, you know, unless you go there really busy time on a Saturday, or the weekend I should say, or dinner time during the week, you know, and I can even call ahead sometimes and just say, hey, you know, this is what I need. But if I'm not sure I need, I'll just go in and talk to them in person, and you know, they'll disappear in the back and come out with something. Okay, so the meat's all cooked. So, what do we have left? Alright, so I've got a can of diced tomatoes I want to put in here. Don't you love how these lids just... And I need a teaspoon of paprika. Tomatoes off my hand. Oh, I didn't think the teaspoon is going to fit in here. Some of my spice jars have done some, so I have to use 2 halves. Actually, I usually just sprinkle, but you know, people always like, how do you know? Alright, so I measure for the show. It's important to keep the lid on this because there's a lot of moisture and humidity going on around here. Okay, so what I need to do now is make a mess. Just don't want that to go in the burner. And I'm going to mix this up, and we're going to let this tomato cook and reduce so I have kind of a sauce. Alright, so we're going to let this all cook together and reduce and get these tomatoes cooked. And I'm going to get the place cleaned up and ready for the next part. So we're going to see you back here in just a couple minutes. Okay, looks so much nicer and cleaner in here. Let this cook about 10 minutes, and you can see there's got most of the juice is cooked out of it. Let it cool a couple minutes. It's still warm. So for a little flavor, about 1/2 cup of Italian parsley just goes in here. Just gonna mix that in real quick. Okay, this looks really good. So what I need to do, alright, so while I was waiting for everything to cool and finish, I started slicing the potatoes. And really simple, I put a layer in the bottom. I'm going to show you how that all works. I just sliced them up, they don't have to be fancy. And I want about 1/2 of this top. You're going to make a nice solid layer. Oven's at 350, by the way. I think I forgot to say that. I can take trying to get things nice and cleaned up. Okay, now I'm going to call this 1/2. So, right there, looks good, great. Let me show you about this potato thing. So everyone always asks me about this. So now I'm going to start another layer of potatoes. And you want to cut them kind of hearty, because potato is the dish. Obviously I got way too many or a couple extra potatoes. I say tomato, you say potato, I don't know. And we're just gonna, you can kind of shingle it if you want. These aren't real delicate potatoes because we're really trying to get that kind of, and just make sure you fill in all the sides. Some of this aside. Some of these out of here. Oops. Oh. Yes, Matt. Let's try it. Alright, so now I'll show you a little trick. When you're slicing potatoes, I know I've said this before, but you gotta keep your knife clean. I'm actually using a thin-bladed boning knife. The other thing is I got a little organic canola oil spray. I just keep it on a paper towel. Just keep some on the knife, and when the knife starts getting really built up with the starch, Might want to stop and clean. You see, like making potato salad and stuff. See how nice that cuts right through? Isn't that beautiful? All right. So I need to get a second layer. Filling. So beautiful. So let me throw some potatoes on top. Grab the potato, still a couple more. And on the top, I just want them to be a little prettier. That's why I'm not using like the ends. I mean, I figure, you know, if you have too many extra, guess what? Make mashed potatoes. You could probably do this without parboiling them. It's way easier to peel them if you've never done it before. A little messier, but that's okay. So as the knife starts to get sticky again, which I think I have enough, you can tell because the potato starts to really get stick to it. And you know, with potatoes, you want them sticking to your ribs, not your knife. Alright, I think that looks pretty. I think that's going to work, right? Well, we got one more step. Let me clean this off real quick. The starch from potatoes is just wicked awesome. Gets all over everything, makes a mess. Alright, clean up aisle 5. So I need to make a little topping for this. So I got a couple eggs. This is pretty reminiscent of what moussaka is like, so I was pretty familiar with it. So I got 2 eggs. Just gonna do a little mixing. Don't have to be perfect. do a whole show just on potatoes. I mean, there's so many ways you can make potatoes. They're just such a perfect food. Okay. So I got some sour cream here. I wouldn't use low cal or anything because you need it kind of to thicken in here. And I need a cup. And I'd already used about a quarter cup out of here. Yeah, I need about a cup of cheese. Might pour it, please. It's funny because a few months ago I was going to make the other moussaka recipe and something came up, so this is making me think that I'm going to go back and do that one too. Get all this out of here. So it's going to get in the oven because we want to make sure these potatoes are nicely cooked and flavored, and we want a nice crust on top. We want all the stuff to mix together and be happy. Crazy. Put more cheese in one than the other. That's okay. All right. So, let's make sure the edge is clean because I don't want it to run all over your oven. So this is where the fun part is. So this is going to take about an hour to make sure it's done. So I'm going to put this in here. This thing weighs a ton. We're going to cook it for an hour and I'll show you what it looks like. Let's see here. So remember, this is a special Romanian dish. If you're from Romania, you tell me that you think I did a great job or a lousy job. We're going to see you back here in an hour. See you in a bit. Alright, just came out of the oven, nice and toasty. And I don't know if you can see how beautiful this is. I think everything's really, really good. I learned something making this. I hope everyone learns something when they cook, something new. I think this is really great. Everything seemed to come together pretty darn good. And it's really hot, but I know this is going to taste great. It's really simple, very kind of fun and almost like rustic. I love the concept of the potatoes. It's got a beautiful brown top on it, like I wanted. You know, that's what my whole goal was. You want to cook it enough. And like I said, you just really need to parboil those potatoes. Don't overdo it, because they are going to be in the oven for a whole hour. When you take it out, you're going to have to let it cool for quite a while, because everything in there is pretty bubbly right now. I think choosing a good cut of meat is going to help you. If you want to try mixing a little pork in, if you prefer, that would be fine. But I think a lean meat is always better. And of course, if you have a meat market you can go to where you can get something a little better cut, that's always better. Like I said, that was 1.5 pounds of ground sirloin without a whole lot of fat in it. As you saw, everything cooked down to nothing in the pan. There's not a lot of juice. The tomatoes broke down nicely, and of course being in the oven for an hour really helped that, but you got to get most of that done right on the stove here. I like to eat. I think this is probably, you know, I wouldn't try and stretch this for more than 4 people. Serve it with a nice vegetable. I'm kind of excited about trying something new, so maybe I'll look up and see what Romanian vegetables are, and maybe I'll try one of those Romanian desserts. So, I got a challenge for any of you out there. If you're, you know, from Romania and you have a great recipe that you want to see if I can make, please comment, send it to me. I'd love to try it. Trying new stuff, or from any other country. I like a lot of different food, but this is exciting to do. And like I said, please subscribe. Comments are important, and you know, ring the notification bell, because who knows when I'm going to do something that's a little more fun like this. Was pretty simple. Had a few steps, but it wasn't fast and furious, so you kind of do it at your own pace. If you want to be daring and try to do the you know, potatoes raw, go ahead and let me know how it turns out. It's just nice because when you parboil them just for that 10 minutes, the skin literally just peels right off. Alright, so like I always say, make sure you go and have fun, learn something new in the kitchen, teach your friends and family how to cook something new in the kitchen, and pass down some, you know, family recipes. Maybe you know something that your grandma used to make, or your great grandma used to make, or your mom made, that you know you've got the recipe sitting somewhere. Pull it out, give it a try. If you have any questions about it, certainly comment and let me know. I'll see what I can do to help you. So have a great day and have fun in the kitchen. Bye.